The film opens with a Hispanic couple visiting the home of a young medium named Sean Send in Pasadena in 1969. Their son has been hearing voices that threaten him for the past 3 nights, so they have come to seek assistance. She is then informed that he pilfered a Gipsy wagon's silver necklace. Now that boy hears voices and sees evil even inside himself. In addition, Sean reads prayers in an effort to rescue the youngster. But then, out of nowhere, an invisible force appears and begins attacking them. Upon witnessing this, they are all frightened. When the floor begins to crack, the devil takes the lad to hell. Next, we jump to the present day in Los Angeles and meet Christine Brown, a loan officer at a bank. Now, while Christine is out having lunch with her boyfriend Clayton, we see him chatting with his mom, where he finds out that her mother does not approve of her. Sylvia expresses her hope for a sudden increase in her financial situation in response to Christine's news that the bank is repossessing her property today. Christine discusses the case with her boss. He then responds by saying that he lets her decide. Upon hearing this, Sylvia experiences a slight eruption of anger, which leads her to cry and implores that her house not be repossessed. Then, out of nowhere, she attempts to assault Christine as the security guards begin to remove her from the area. However, she flees the bank in a fury after the guards apprehend her and remove her from the premises. Christine has just finished her shift and is getting ready to leave when she spots a vintage vehicle in the lot. She quickly jumps into her car after hearing Sylvia cough, which gives her the willies. Sylvia is seated in the rear of her vehicle when she suddenly sees a handkerchief whizzing towards her. In an effort to defend herself, Christine smashes her car into another vehicle after Sylvia becomes aggressive. Her teeth had erupted from the impact, so Sylvia launches another assault. After kicking her out of the car, Christine sticks a scale in her mouth. Christine locks the door behind her as she attempts to re-enter, prompting Sylvia to use a stone to smash Christine's car window and force her out of the vehicle. After ripping a bun from her coat, she curses it and promises to return to her soon. After a while, she comes to, and she calls the police. Clayton arrives at the scene as well. Clayton assures her that she made the correct decision when she suggests that she should have extended the woman's load. At that moment, a gust of wind comes up from behind her, and she realizes she's outside a psychic store. "Did you hear anything?" she inquires of Clayton. And he flat out refuses. Clayton tells her she has to go home immediately after she mentions wanting a fortune reader. However, they go to that store because she insisted on it. Christine approaches a musician named Ron Jazz and asks if he can see into her future. She later realizes that she was mistaken. Christine is taking this seriously, despite Jazz's request that they leave if they aren't serious. They end up paying his fees. Afterwards, Ram Jazz reveals some information about Christine while holding her hand. In addition to his account of the van, she informs Clayton that an elderly woman removed a band from her sleeve earlier in the day. Then mysterious events begin to transpire in that location. Ram Jazz finds Christine's face to be haunted by a terrifying spirit. He is giving them their money back because he thinks this is enough for the night. Frankly, though, Christine wants to know if he has seen anything. So he suggests the possibility that a curse has been cast upon her and that a sinister spirit is tormenting her. Meanwhile, Christine is at home when she hears a knock at the door and sees a figure standing outside. Subsequently, she becomes aware of external sounds. Additionally, her home and all of its lights begin to go dark as soon as she peers out the window at Sanders. The world goes silent as soon as she shuts the window of her house. Subsequently, she spots a shadow on the wall that abruptly confronts her. After that, the house's lights turn on. Everyone goes back home now. He attributes it to that elderly woman. Christine denies being Sylvia, though. Then Clayton wants to know, who did this? She was unable to respond to that. Afterwards, Clayton learns from the doctor that these signs indicate PTSD. After hearing Clayton's suggestion, Christine jumps at the chance to spend Saturday in Santa Barbara. Okay, moving on to the. Christine is startled awake in the middle of the night when a fly gets into her mouth while she and her partner are sleeping. Unfortunately, Sylvia is lying next to her when she lays down again, and she attempts to attack her before puking insects all over her face. And then, out of nowhere, she becomes fully alert. Christine begins to feel as though she has a fly buzzing around inside her the following day as she heads to the office. Then Stu approaches her, insisting that he wants to study her loan processes. As she begins to explain the process to him, she mistakenly sees Sylvia's hand instead of Stu's and demands that he release his grip on her lifeless body. Her nose begins to bleed as her phone begins to ring. At that very moment, Jax arrives, and she begins to bleed heavily from her nose, spitting blood all over Jax. Stu takes a file from Christine's desk after she leaves because she doesn't get it. After that, Christine visits Sylvia at her house to meet her granddaughter. Additionally, Monica mentions that Sylvia had assured her that she would most certainly attend. Still, she politely requests that she depart. According to Christine, she plans to return her house and express her regrets to Sylvia. She finds out that Sylvia died not long ago after my uncle lets her into the house. Her horror at the sight of Sylvia's lifeless body causes her to slam into the table, shattering its leg. As Sylvia implores the locals to come and rescue her, Christine's hair gets entangled in her fingers, shattering her ankle. Sylvia then warns Christine that she is deserving of the punishment she is about to receive. Christine goes back to see Ram Giles, who identifies Lenny as the source of her problems. Lenny appears to Christine as a malevolent spirit for the first 3 days before it begins to torment her. It then comes clean about being a soul snatcher. Also, the cursed item's owner will face it. He tells Christine that she would still be the owner of the cursed man regardless of his condition if she burns it, after she shows him the cursed man. She wants to know how to escape Lamia and where it will take her. I can try to appease the spirit, she replies. Also, a blood offering is the quickest and easiest way. The method of sacrifice is detailed in a book that he gives her. As Christine engrosses herself in her book, the sound of Lenny's voice breaks the silence, and she notices his shadow moving across the room. Christine is startled and bolts for her room as she spots Lamia approaching from the staircase. After securing her room, she tries to contact Clayton, but he is preoccupied with his job. Sylvia haunts her in it, and her battery drains as she sees him standing outside her door. After that, Lamia goes after her, and when she tries to get away, he assaults her, hangs her in midair, and then throws her to one side. Okay, now there's no turning back. Christine reluctantly strips down to her underwear in her backyard and gives up her pet, Ken. After that, Christine has dinner with Clayton's parents, who are quite taken with her. She eventually asks Clayton if he has heard anything after she begins to hear voices. And he flat out refuses. A live eye pops out of the cake as she begins to eat it, and she quickly stabs it with a fork. As if that weren't bad enough, she begins to cough up a fly. At that moment, a resounding thud emanates from concealed within a door. Gathering a glass, she hurls it at the door, yelling out for him to go away. In an effort to assuage her fears, Clayton tells her that no one is around. After she departs, Clayton learns from his mother that the girl is unwell. Ram Dass tells Christine that they are dealing with mysterious and powerful forces, after she confronts him in an angry manner about killing her kitten. To prevent this evil spirit from abducting her son, they must confront it head-on. Plus, he has connections who can lend them a hand. However, the courageous woman who can rescue them will have to risk a lot to do it. That means she won't do it for nothing. By tomorrow, he wants her to have $10,000 in cash. He then informs Christina that the deal she was involved in has been cancelled the following day, just as she begins to assist her with the money. Assistant manager promotion will thus be postponed. Considering all that has transpired, Stu might get the job, according to him. To prepare to sell, she has begun amassing all of her possessions from home. However, she still feels Sylvia's ghostly presence and puts her palm to her mouth in this situation. In an effort to free herself, Christine accidentally drops an anvil on the ghost, sending it flying away. After this, she takes her belongings to a pawn shop and has them valued at $3,800. She is now quite distressed because she does not possess sufficient funds. Afterwards, Clayton also makes an appearance. Apparently, he paid Ram Joss, he informs her. Jazz introduces her to Chance and Dino at Shansor Diner's castle, where she is warmly welcomed. Legend has it that she lost a boy's soul to the beast in this very house many years ago, when she first encountered Lana. All these years, she has patiently waited for her chance to ruin everything. She will require her assistance, though, in order to call upon it. She continues by informing her that her late spouse was a medium as well. There were certain forces at work when he chose this spot for his home. They can get through a door that has been opened by a specific convergence of forces. John and Dinah's assistant walk in on Christine being startled by her voice as she orders them to sit down. Along with her, Milo ties a goat he's brought there. Johnson Dinah gets the noises ready to catch Lamia and then goes after it to slaughter it. She confides in Christine. She is instructed to place her hand on the goat and tell Milo to hit its head once the spirit has entered her body. Johnson Dinah initiates the procedure, while Ram merely informs Christine that she must extend an invitation to the deceased for them to commune with her soul. After that, everyone begins to read spells. And eventually Johnson Dinah pulls over to inform them that someone else is now among them. However, out of nowhere, they hear laughter and see the chandelier swaying, as if possessed by an unseen power. According to Dinah, it's not Lana but rather the ghost of a troubled soul from long ago, according to Johnson. According to her, Christine is one of many souls who have begun to appear in this place. All those spirits must return at Johnson Dinah's command. A hush falls over the entire area. The house begins to tremble, though, the second after that. Then, all of a sudden, there is complete silence. But then a spirit from Dinah's past comes back to witness this. It has shocked everyone. Plus, Ram Joss wants to know his identity. He then admits that he is Lamia and that he wants Christine's soul. She will rot in hell, and they will eat it. Christine, according to Ram Joss, is unworthy of her fame. Christine seizes the moment and places her hand on the goat, transferring Lamia's soul to it, after he claims Christine is his. Now, Miles accidentally cuts the goat's rope while he goes to slaughter it, and the animal bites him, transferring his soul to him. He begins to levitate in midair. And he knocked Ram Joss down when Joss asked him to go. Christine tries to flee, but Lamia stops her, declares he doesn't want her cat, and then throws up the cat's body. Here, Jasper brings Dino to her senses, and she asks him to drive the ghost away. Diana starts reading the prayers, which pulls Milo back just in time to prevent Lamia from killing Christine Johnson. Lamia is banished from Sam's by Johnson DNA. However, upon further reflection, Diana Johnson passes away from a heart attack. Ram Joss tells her that a medium cannot drive Lamia out of her home. No one ever killed the goat. Because of this, Lamia will return to get the cursed item's rightful owner. The only way for her to stay alive, he says, is to switch owners. After she gives him the bone, he puts it in an envelope and puts it away. He then requests that she present it to someone else. Even before the bereavement. After a while, Clayton wanted to know if it was over. She agrees, but only after Sylvia's ghost begins to follow her. However, an elderly man stands by her side and warns her that she will meet her maker in hell. Stu is then summoned by her and asked to meet her in 10 minutes, failing which she threatens to inform Jax that he has stolen the loan file from her desk and given it to the other company. Stu quickly races over and tells her not to tell Jax anything. After seeing his tears, Christine decides she wants to ask him to leave instead of giving him the gift she had planned. Ram Joss tells her that she can bestow the curse on a deceased loved one after she continues on her journey. However, the cursed item cannot be given to the dead informally, a formal gift is required. Once again, Sylvia follows her to the cemetery, where she assaults her in her car. The spirit of Sylvia tries to enter Christine's mouth as she attempts to stop the car and extinguish it. Christine, though, successfully gets rid of it. Afterwards, she uncovers Sylvia's grave and opens her coffin. She then uses the shovel to open her mouth, drops the envelope into her mouth, and swallows. However, as she begins to emerge from the tomb, the muck blocks her path. A tombstone falls on Sylvia's head, sending her into a faint, just as her corpse emerges from the water. She emerges from the water after a while. We now find her at her residence. Jack calls her to tell her that she has been promoted following Stu's confession and subsequent firing for taking her file. At Los Angeles Union Station, she will meet Clay for a weekend getaway. Upon meeting her, Clayton reveals that he found her body in his car and gives her the envelope containing her remains. It dawns on her that she sent Sylvia the wrong envelope by mistake, thus the curse remained in place. As demonic hands that are blazing come into view, Christine is so terrified that she flees and falls onto the tracks. Clay rushes to Christine's aid, but a train zooms past, leaving him helpless to do anything but watch as hands pull her to safety. It would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe, like, and bell toggle my channel. I appreciate you tuning in.